In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use the custom modeling commands. And we're going to begin by using the sweep command first. And so we'll begin by selecting the profile that we're going to use and then drawing the shape that's going to be extruded along a path to create a sweep. And we're going to do this a couple of different times around the exterior of the building. But the first thing I want to do is just kind of make some adjustments to our model itself so that this process of creating sweeps is a little bit easier. So I'm going to change my my graphic displays to just hidden line to get rid of some of that texture. And then I'm going to um, extend my exterior walls down just a bit because as you can see here, they are, there's a little bit of a gap and that's where our sweep is going to go. But in actuality, these walls would go all the way down to the first level. So I'm going to start by just grabbing these and moving them. You can see here it's the base constraint, the name's been changed. So I'm going to go ahead and change that name real quick. Let's go over to our section views and just change those really quick. Looks like our levels are missing. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to just change this right here because somewhere along the line it got renamed. Okay, now we're all set. Okay, let's go back to that 3D view. And I'm going to grab those exterior walls again, holding down my control button to grab them all at the same time. And I'm going to constrain them to level 1 and they should drop down. Okay, perfect. Okay, now what we're going to do next is I need to get this elevation here that's coming in from our CAD file, and I need to get it to stick to the front of this facade so that I can use some of the profiles here and use them as the profiles for the sweeps. So I'm going to just grab this right here and copy it. And all I'm going to do is just grab it by a corner and click once to grab it as my base point, and then click it again so that it's copied, but it's still in the same exact spot. And then I need to rotate it. But in order to rotate this, I actually, if I rotate it right now, it's just going to rotate on this floor plan. And actually what I need to do is a 3D rotate. I need to make it go from sitting flat to standing vertically. And so this requires us to start to think about the way that Revit thinks about 3D modeling, which is using a reference plane. So first, what we're going to do is I'm going to show Revit the reference plane that I want to use to rotate this. So when I hit architecture, I go to set, and this is the reference plane or the work plane. I'll probably use those terms interchangeably. So I hit pick a plane, and then I'm going to grab this plane. So now that is set as the reference plane. So now when I go to rotate this, if I select it and then I hit rotate it, now it's going to say, okay, it's starting along that reference plane. So I click once. And then I'm going to click it up like this, 90 degrees. And, oh, I did it upside down. Let me show you again. So it's going to start over here. And now I'm going to go vertically, 90 degrees. Okay, and there it is. Now, if I look at this in plan view, that thing I just rotated is right here. So I actually need to move it so that it's touching the front of my facade of my actual model. And that's the CAD file running vertically. And I can align it. Okay, so then when I look at it in 3D, okay, there it is. And it's a little bit messy right now. You'll see it in a second. Okay, now I want to look at the elevation view. And that's our south elevation. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's not showing up. Let's see where our tag is. Okay, still not showing up. So now I'm going to go to VV. Maybe I've got a visibility issue. The CAD file is found under the imported categories here, and it looks like it's unchecked. So remember, all the model categories I've turned on and off and half-toned, but now imported categories, that's the brownstone. So I need to make sure that that visibility is checked. So I'm going to hit OK. And there it is. Okay, looks like we still have some issues. Let's take a look again. It needs to be moved up. See? Let's take a look again. All right, there it is. Okay, so this is the CAD file, the blue on top. Okay, and you can see it's sitting right where the ground line is. Okay, there are a couple little alignment issues that we need to fix. I'm going to start just real simply by moving my windows over just a little bit so that they're sitting on top of the windows in the CAD file. Quick fix. I'm not going to drive myself real crazy with this part because we got other window things we're going to need to be dealing with later. Okay. We'll straighten out the doors and all that stuff later. But for right now, I want to draw this really nice kind of plinth that this building is sitting on right here. And that's where our sweep is going to come in. I want you to notice how there's the profile of that plinth right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a sweep. Now, I'm going to go to the Architecture tab and hit Component, and this is where our Model in Place commands are right here. This would fall under really maybe it could be called a structural foundation. This is really just to organize it into what we kind of think of in AutoCAD as layers. And it's important to realize that we're modeling something that's got just basic mass right now, but later on we'll see the difference between modeling just with mass and modeling using actual Revit components. So the first thing that it's going to ask us to do is, okay, which kind of 3D modeling do you want to do? And we want to do a sweep. Okay, then it's going to ask us to pick the path, and that's the path that we want our shape to follow. Now I'm going to select the path very specifically, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to look at the view command, and I am actually going to select the path to start on this western wall facade. But in order to grab it, I need to change my view to wireframe. And that is the west wall. I want to be 100% sure though. Okay, this is the path that I want it to follow. So I hit pick path, and this is where I want it to go. See how I select pick 3D edges? Right there, and that's the 3D edge. Okay, and look, right here, that little shape, that little green dashed line box, that's showing you that it's going to extrude whatever shape is inside here along this path. And it actually looks like there's a line that looks a little bit off here. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Wonder what that extra line is. Okay, let's go ahead and pick 3D edges again. And I'm going to hit the green checkbox, which says, okay, Revit, this is the path that I want it to follow. Next, it's going to ask me to select the profile, what's going to go in that little box. So I'm going to hit Edit Profile. And then in order to tell it the profile, see it's saying pick lines here. I actually want to view it from that south elevation. And look, that's the center of that dot and that little X. So now I can grab this profile. So I'm going to pick lines. Okay. Now, if I hit that checkbox, it's only going to extrude along that path on the bottom edge that we selected on that west wall. But I'm going to hit the checkbox now that says, okay, that's the profile I want. Then I'm going to go back to Pick Path, pick 3D edges, and then I want to look at it on a 3D view. And I'm going to grab the rest of the edges. But I started by just grabbing the first one because I wanted to control where that little shape showed up. Okay, now I'm going to hit the green checkbox, and there it is, and finish the model. Now, if I look at it from the south elevation, we have a beautiful extrusion or a sweep, pardon me, that goes along the base perimeter and creates a little plinth. There are two other sweeps here, this one and this one, and we're going to create those right now by the exact same method. So I'm going to go to Architecture, Component, and Model in Place. This one would be considered more like casework. And I'm going to call this the cornice. And I'm going to follow the same thing. I'm going to select a sweep, pick path, pick 3D edges, but I want to view it in 3D. And I could pick it on that side or that side. But again, I'm just trying to make sure that I select that edge first so that it puts that little green box right here and I've got control over where it is. If I select all of these right now, I don't have as much control over where that shape pops up. So let me go ahead and we'll hit the checkbox and then we'll select the profile. And again, looking at it from the south elevation, and look, I could just grab this and pick lines. I'll be able to pick some, but like that one's too long. This one will work. All right, and then I'm going to hit the checkbox and I'm going to grab the rest of my edges. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, now here's something that's pretty cool. Let's say that you finished that and then you decided, you know what? This profile here follows the same exact path as that one. You could do an entirely separate sweep, or you could do the same one. You could do it all within the same sweep. So let's go ahead and grab that sweep again, and I'm going to hit Edit in Place. And then I'm going to select the sweep once more, and see it says Edit Sweep. Select Profile, Edit Profile, and then I'm going to go back to that south elevation and I'm going to grab this one too. And it's going to be slightly different because I can't pick all the lines here, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky right here. I can't have this point intersect with this line over here because it's got to be like an open, it's got to be a closed loop, but there can't be intersections along the loop. So I can get it kind of close, but I can't touch it. So it's not exactly the right profile. Okay, and then green checkbox, and now you have 2 extrusions at the top to create the cornice and another one at the bottom.